Let's get open. Oh, here we go, this is typical. Let's roll the credits again and start again. Let's try this again. Welcome back to the Black Lodge. I am David at Drinks Whisky, and you join me on Thursday night drams, standing in for the man himself, Aquabiti, Roy. Bit of shenanigans there at the start. It's been a while, as I'm sure you know. I don't have to go into it, but there was football on the night. There's a lot going on, but we're in for a great night tonight. I hope you are all well. I'm seeing everybody in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of names I recognise, a couple I don't recognise. So please try and get my attention. Do the @Drinks Whisky and it should come up in the chat. It's been a while. It's been a wee while. I've hectic, rushed. I've not even poured myself a beer. I've managed to get a dram in that brief intro there. I've not even had a sip of it, to be fair. So I'm going to raise a glass to you and say, guys, it's good to be back. And it rained torrentially down here today for like half an hour, and that's the longest it's rained since June. So it's all coming together. It's all coming up Millhouse. Cheers. And where are my manners? What I'm having in the glass is Glenmoe 14, going to Ruben, taking it easy, easing in. Couldn't find my 12. I only use that as my kick-off dram to get into it, but I did have a wee sneaky beer watching the football up to a point there. So how have you all been? How's the summer been treating you? This heat wave, this incessant driving heat that we've got, and it seems to be passing. I've actually got my niece's birthday this weekend, and my mum comes down from Glasgow down to London. And it's a running joke. It is a running joke that every time she comes, no matter when, she brings the weather. And she's got a 5 AM train tomorrow. So who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? Right, who have we got in the chat, guys? Who have we got? I'm seeing a lot of names. As I said, I'm going to pull up. But Jesper's in. Jesper, welcome, mate. I hope you're keeping well. I'm sure you all are. Excuse me while I pour the glasses. A wee bit of ASMR for any of you out there. No worries, I'm more than happy. It's always a pleasure to be asked, especially being as rusty as I am. So you'll need to bear with me, guys, tonight as I kind of get into it. You've already seen the theme. I'll talk about that in a wee minute once I do some housekeeping and bits like that. But I want to say hello to you guys. See, there's Donna passing. Brilliant to see you, mate. I hope you're keeping well. Gerben, I think, have we chatted before? If not, welcome. If so, apologies. As I said, getting the coffee off. Gorm, evening. I can see Doodle the drams in. Who else have we got? We've got the man himself, Frank, Pete Head, and double combo. Tony Nelson's in as well. Tony, great to see you. Ian's in. Brilliant. Welcome, Ian. If I don't shout you out, please don't take it personally. I'm trying to catch up on a whole load of these comments. You guys are really active in the chat. It's great to see. We've got a great number in. I've not publicised it much at all. I've not had the time. we'll go into that as well. There's been loads going on. Anthony Lambert, he's in, brilliant, fantastic. Who else have we got? BX, a man himself, hope you're keeping well, mate. Great to see you joining in. Jim, I'm in the middle of a whiskey novice sandwich this week, aren't I? I believe you're doing next week, and you did last week. Great to have you in, mate. It's been hectic. It's been really hectic this end. Lowlander, hope you're keeping well, mate. Hope Edinburgh's going okay. John's in. John, new chair. Yeah, I've changed. I've moved the armchair purely down to height. This can come up a wee bit higher, and we were reorganising stuff and trying to pick up some second-hand bits and pieces, and the chance of this chair came up, and I grabbed it, and it's a wee swivel chair, and it's on casters, so I can actually move, whereas the armchair before, I love it. I love the Reverend I Am Jolly, Rennie Scottson, the kind of sittingness of it, but it was an absolute nightmare to get in and out of, and I was always away down here. So this, good for my posture. Not getting any younger. The greys are coming in hard and fast these days. Yeah, yo, thank you. I hope you've appreciated the wee intro. There's a few wee bits tonight that I've been working on. I've not been sitting on my backside doing nothing. Jimmy Jazz is in. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're keeping well. Oh, Dirty. Gav's Drams is in. Gav, great to see you. Black Fen, great. Let's see if I caught up. Getting to the bottom. A lot of chat. Fife Drams in. Even David, welcome at the hot seat. I'll try my best, mate. I will try my best. It is hot in here. I've had the windows open and fans on, but I've had to turn them off. The Black Lodge survived. I think we can say the Black Lodge survived the 2026 heatwave down here. Just about. There's the Dram. Hey ho, David. So cool, entertainers. Really looking forward to hanging out with you and the Barflies guys. I am buzzing to hang out with you guys. I had we did a, you may have seen if you follow the channel. If you don't, Drinks Whiskey, have a look. I've got I do a series called Drams on the Run, which is out and about in the whiskey world, and I was buzzing, and I've got so much footage that I'm trying to wrangle for Campbelltown Malts Festival in May. And pretty much since then I've kind of ghosted. I put out a kind of teaser short form one, I licensed the music, I did all that, and I really focused on it, and then the intention was to do that and do like one stream or whatever, but life ran away. Family, work, everything. I had to go away for work, came back, got sick, and a vomiting bug, and just thought, you know what, I've got so much going on, I'm going to go dry in July. So I did dry July. I'm not making that thing, but it was actually quite good, and it was really funny coming back on the palate. So the last few nights, or the last week or so as I've been preparing for this stream, it's been good to just kind of reacclimatise my palate and get into it. So I've got a backlog of videos that if you follow me on the Patreon, we'll talk about. I say it all the time, I'm sitting on this, I'm sitting on that, but we're getting to that point now of the year where I can sit and get it done. So it's brilliant to be with all you guys. I'm so happy you have joined and you still remember where my channel is, to be honest. Who else have we got? We've got Mojo Low. Hello David, completely relaxed in the south of France on my first holiday on Youngs. Brilliant. Where in the south of France are you? I was in Cannes for work in June, and that's just some part of the world. It's so good, south of France. If you've never been, guys, try and go. Glenmore 12 and the glass in your honour. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. Let's see what else we got. We'll understand a whiskey novice sandwich. Sounds like some 18 plus PPV. Get it on the Patreon, mate. Got on the Only Drams, all on there. I don't know if Jim's aware of that yet, but there. Got a SMW Paul player in the glass. Brilliant. What else? I'm trying, guys. There's so much chat going on in here. It's brilliant. So aye, that's the kind of wee bit of housekeeping. Housekeeping in turn. Tonight it is a VPub. It is a guest VPub, and as you barflies who have came over to indulge me with your time, I have done a quiz. I've done a quiz. There's a quiz at the end, which is in keeping with the theme of tonight, which is who is whiskey for in 2026. I've done during that dry July. And kind of after the Malts Festival and stuff, there's been a few things in the whiskey world that have happened, and you're seeing a bit of a downturn as well, and you're seeing brands struggling, you're seeing job losses, you're seeing redundancies, you're seeing a lot of negative chatter, and it kind of made me think, like, who is whiskey for? And I had a great, I was messaging Mac of Campai Planet fame, WhatsApping him. I says, I've been kind of trying to pull my head together and get back in the game of whiskey making content. Whiskey content making, not making whiskey. And I said, this is my theme. And he says, well, what's that about? And I said, I'm just kind of, there's so many angles to it. But when you go to those festivals and you see the passion and you see up close people making in Campbelltown, and how the town, the role of the distillery, like, is so vibrant and so important to the jobs and to the lifeblood of that. And I just saw someone who I know from like whiskey stuff and whatever, the Malt Maiden on Instagram. She's just became the new bar manager down at the Tipsy Midgie Campbelltown and stuff like that. And you realise, like, it creates jobs and it pulls people in. And so I was thinking, is that what whiskey's about in 2026? Is it business, or is it community, or is it cliques? There is cliques, there's whiskey cliques where people maybe don't feel comfortable going into them, or are they prohibiting people joining, or is it gatekeeping? So we're going to talk about all that, but we're also going to talk about the role that the brands themselves have played in the last few years, and how they've got us to a position where some are doing fine. This downturn, yeah, there's a wee bit, they'll see a lull, but how much is it actually affecting them versus some big players where the kind of growth and expansion, they overshot. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to ask you guys to contribute a lot. There was grand intentions to get maybe some vox pops from people and stuff. Time is a luxury right now, and so we ran out of that, but you guys are fantastic to ask these questions of. So I want that in your mind of, who is whiskey for in 2026? Like, who are we thinking about and what are we looking to do? And I know we're a wee bit biased. We are biased, but if you can objectively maybe step back and think, as man on the street or woman on the street, person on the street, what do you think? Who do you think whiskey is for? Because I have these conversations in my day job with people because they know I like whiskey. And perceptions, they don't shift too much. Some people, yeah, they'll dabble, but there's a lot of feedback on that. Now, because we've got so much to go through, I actually made agendas for tonight so I can keep on with the actual thing, because I'm trying to get more organised in my life. One of the things that I need to do, and I always do in any stream I do, is give a big shout out to the Patreons, the guys that support me. I've been quite quiet on there as well. They've had little tidbits and whatever, but their support, and there's been some things that I've chatted to them about. Their support's one of the reasons I'm still doing what I'm doing. So I have to give a massive shout out to there. There's no obligation for anybody watching to join the Patreon. It's just a great wee community. But they need to fix their app, because I don't get notifications, and I've put all the notifications on. So then I don't see anything for a while, and I think, I need to go and check, and then I'll see a chat. And I think Lowlander dropped I seen it late last night, and I was like, oh my god, and he messaged 3 days ago on it. So they need to fix that. But there's stuff coming for the Patreon gang that's great. If you're not indulging with Patreon or whatever, but you want to support the channel, I've also updated the YouTube membership. I even made I've made emojis. I've made 4 emojis, and I've also made badges for the longevity of people. Again, there's no obligation to sign up. That's something that I'm exploring. YouTube tries to push you to do this thing about gifts, where people send jewels and all that stuff on TikTok, and I was like, no, we're not doing that. That's not what this channel's about. But that's my housekeeping. That's that out the way. Without that support, guys, to be honest, the stuff that made me, that basically the Patreon guys helped fund the Campbelltown trip massively. I wouldn't have been able to go without that support and make that content. So I'm really, really thankful for that, and I always give the credit where it's due. So aye, we've got that tonight. We've also got my usual dram table. As I said, I've been a wee bit busy. My dram table normally sits just here on like a wee rotating Lazy Susan table thing. I thought I'd make it more complicated. And because we're talking about who's whiskey for, I've done a wee selection of different things tonight. And what we've went in for is, there was an offer that I could get through my credit card where I could get £50 off if I spent a certain amount, and it made me rejoining SMWS and getting a bottle for 50 quid. So I rejoined it. I said I wouldn't, but I did. And there's a bottle in there, so we're going to talk about that. But this is a selection of I tried to pick some whiskies that kind of go through who whiskey is for in general. Being in the last one that I did, I'll talk about, but you've got the connoisseur, the enthusiast, the deep enthusiast with the Springbank 12 cask strength that's there. You've got the more modern approach to whiskey, which I love, and I'm a huge advocate of them. I love what they do. I love the people that work there. I think everything is great, which is woven. And I was trying to get the hot honey bottle, but I couldn't get it in time. What they've put out, and so that marketplace. You get Green Spot, which I've put Irish whiskey because I don't have a Jameson. But the kind of, it's everywhere. You go to the US, whatever, you've got that whiskey. You've got the Loch Lomond original, which is my supermarket whiskey, which I pulled out, and then my own enthusiast choice. I love this bottle, the Lagmore, the 10 Living Souls, the Ballandalloch, which is a bottle that's in the wheelhouse of whiskey for me. Like at a price that was just perfect, that was such great quality. So that's the drams tonight. You will notice I'm really chuffed with my wee that way, my gorilla. So we've got those drams on the go tonight. The only thing is, but luckily because this is a swivel chair, and if I come back here and hide that, I can move a wee bit, but I can just swivel and go and get them. So you'll see my hand come in, you'll see the chair swinging. We've got some of the stream classics tonight, which we'll get into. Anybody that's new, that's not been, I like to make things complicated for myself, so that's it. But yeah, so that's what we're drinking tonight, that's what we're doing. I'm going to go to the chat. Enough about me chatting, and I see Tony Nelson, I clocked it. I ran out of time. It's on the agenda for the next Saturday night drams. I can tell you that much. Well, it's not really a half. It was maybe in a half pint glass, but it's not a full pint. Half and a half tonight. Mojo Low saying, in the mountains between Cannes and Nice, watching the lightning in the distance. Epic stuff. Fantastic. When you fly into Nice and you see those mountains, such a great thing. What else we got? Donna Pass is saying, even with the market downturn, still expect corporations to continue to ignore us, even though we will continue to buy and double down on ultra premium luxury marketing over the liquid. We will talk about that. There's been a lot happening in that kind of space recently, and it's intriguing to see how it goes. And I think the future in the next couple of years, I don't think it'll make or break. I think we'll survive it. Anthony Lambert saying, what? There's a quiz here as well. Thought I could give my head a rest tonight. The quiz is a bit of it's whiskey themed, but I think everybody's going to have a fair crack at the same whip this evening, so to speak. Whiskey novice. Whiskey's more for us whiskey enthusiasts now than it has ever been, in my opinion, Dave. Almost every new distillery producer are aiming at us rather than the larger consumer market. I feel yes, and I can understand that viewpoint as well. And we'll, as I said, there's loads of sections to cover on this tonight, so I will be quite. That's hence why I've got my paper pointed in it, because I want to make sure I capture as much. Lowlander, great. I'm so glad you're mentioning this, because I've not even asked. I saw little bits and pieces online about the Whiskey Fringe, but There's quite a contrast between the stands at Whisky Fringe. Macallan and Lefroy's looked like an airport duty free, whereas Thompson Brothers just had a white tablecloth. And I bet you Thompson Brothers had their people, and the Macallan Lefroy stand had their people, and by that I mean the tourists, or the people that are maybe whiskey tourists, let's call them, people that have got a Whisky Fringe ticket because they're in Edinburgh or they've heard about it, or a friend of a friend's done it, and they'll jump on that. Whereas the Thompson Brothers, I'm sure they were, I doubt their hands stopped pouring the entire time. And I think this is why this is such an interesting topic, because it's not, I'm kind of getting to the point where nobody's wrong anymore. And I'm a big advocate for just making whiskey as accessible for people as possible. We've all got snobbery, and we've got our own opinions and stuff like that of it, and that's absolutely fine. But I think I think for everybody to get a fair crack at it, we have to accept that these things are going to be happening. Frank's asking, how are the horses behaving? They're dead. Nobody's more upset than my daughter, I think she might be a reason why they've had to have the curtain put up and the track put down. But there's horses in future. For anybody that's never unaware of what this means, is traditionally what we would do is we'd go to the drinks table, and they would be numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we would start off by, right, where are we going to start with the drams tonight? And it would cut to a horse racing game, and we would let the horses decide. But sadly the game broke, and I'm too cheap to pay another £13 for cheap plastic. But horses are in the future. Whisky with Molly, brilliant, welcome in, mate. I hope you're keeping well. I can see, yeah, Adrian's got a Thompson Brothers 13-year-old Inchmurrin in the glass, brilliant. And then Fife Drams is saying the Black Lodge looking very organised in background. I've been keeping busy in here, been really busy trying to get everything clean and tidy, getting it set up. This table, it's a new table. The desk, as I said, we moved stuff out the house and that, and we were going to toss stuff, and I was like, give me that, I'll take that, because it's another space to put bottles and take pictures and do everything on. Right, oh, and Dorpass, as a Ben Runners fanboy, I approve of that shirt. Just wait, that's all I'm going to say about that. And Lil Anstey, the only reason most of us tuned in was the horses. What's the point of watching? Oh, trust me, there's some reasons to stay tuned in this evening. Lolander, Hamish, welcome. Rainy Inverness, I love it. Scotland in the rain. I read an article today about cool holidays, where people are now saying they're going to be going to Scotland and Norway and stuff because they want to escape the intense heat of summer and the new world order of this incessant heat. So you might be kept even busier, mate, because of that. And then I think I just saw, there he is, the man himself, Campai Planet Mac. Welcome in, mate. Already gave you a shout out earlier about our chats about this topic that we had. Right, let me hide that comment. Now, some other bits and pieces that we have. But first, I'm going to try and do a wee bit of ninja manoeuvring, if you don't mind. Let me have a wee dram. And we're going to see if we can pull this off, but let me take my headphones off first. Wish me luck.
How bad could it be? It could be shit.
And we've made it. We have made it behind the bar of the Black Lodge. So new feature. We've got a new setup. You're able to see behind the bar. You're able to even see things that normally you can't see down here. And normally I'm filming here. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm just going to check. The mic should be on. My chat's over there. It's my only thing that I can't see. But if you could maybe spam in the chat some like emojis that you can hear me alright. Otherwise, I'm talking to myself here. Now we're here for How Bad Could It Be? The segment where I've picked up a cheap bottle and I don't know if it's going to be good or not. So how bad could it be? And this week, we're doing Jim Beam Double Oak, which is twice barreled, expertly aged, and then matured in a second oak barrel, 43%. Now, why am I doing Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey finished in oak? Aye, there we go, I can see the emojis. And because it was cheap, it was £13, I think, or £11. It was some like mad offer. And so the whole point of this is just to see, for fun, what is going on. It's never been opened. We'll get a wee crack. Let's see how expensive it is. Oh, listen to that screw top. That hits quality. Double Oak is a whiskey to rival any other. It is first aged in charred American white oak barrels. Then we pour it into another freshly charred barrel to mature for a second time. The added interaction with the oak woods results in a liquid intense in flavour. Results in a liquid intense in flavour, smooth in results in a liquid intense in flavour, smooth in taste. Sorry, I lost the ability to understand English there. Let's get a wee. Of course, we'll get the Glencairn. And as I'm doing this, I'm sure you can have a wee nosy at the bottles behind me. You can even see some of the bourbons that you wouldn't normally see behind me. That's my American whiskey cabinet. There we go. Oh. Problem with a screw top. Put that there. Right. What are we saying? Double oak, twice barreled, Jim Beam. I don't mind Jim Beam. This bottle behind me, this little book is Jim Beam. It's bookers and stuff. I bought it for my 40th when I was there. 2023 release. In retrospect, I never opened it. Really need an occasion, so I don't mind it. I think it's quite like bookers and stuff is good. Right, so we're getting on the nose. The initial impressions. It's alright. It's fine. It's quite ashy. It's like campfire and then morning after. Damp. You get a wee bit of that in the nose, but you get that kind of bourbon cherry. I say cherry, vanilla. More vanilla-y. It's quite light, quite easy. And what did they say? It was intense in flavour, smooth in taste. It's not the smoothest, I'll give you that. 43%. It's alright. But it's not as tannic is what I would give it for that many. Well, I think thankfully my verdict is it's alright. It's no shit. So it's a win for that, but at the price, aye, it's fine. I think as a mixer, great, have it in a cocktail. That cocktail could be some ice and some coke. It's absolutely fine. Do let me know, have you had this? Have you tried it? There's some of these Jim Beams they put out that have had really good reputations. I don't know if this does. I've done no research on it. I try and come to this blind. Beam Suntory, Springburn Bond. Aye. Bottled in Springburn. Well, it's no unpleasant. There's been some of these where I've actually just stopped dead because I thought I would die from like ethanol poisoning. No bad. Had worse. But now, we'll get back to it. First, need a wee ad break.
How bad could it be? It could be shit.
Everybody always asks me, Stephen, what's the best way to hang a picture frame? I don't know. My name's no Stephen. But I am David, and I can tell you where you can find the greatest whiskey t-shirts online. Drinkswhiskey.com. Drinkswhiskey.com. And I'm back in the saddle. I'm back, thankfully. Let's see, have we got what's going on here? Let's get the music back on as well. It's all a bit hectic. I hope you enjoyed that. Like to do stuff, like to make life as difficult as possible for myself. Because where's the fun in doing it the easy way? Yes, drinkswhiskey.com. Ben Ernest t-shirt is available, Donapas, and some other t-shirts. And on the topic of this evening, there is a new t-shirt up there as of today that is a homage to a very old Scottish tourism campaign, and I say majority of the profit from the t-shirt is going to charity, and by majority, the only money that it makes me is the fees. I'm not actually making any money, so the profit that would come to me is going to two charities, one being Alzheimer's Scotland and the other being Women's Aid. So if you fancy a t-shirt, by all means get it. If not, drop them a couple of quid. Women's Aid and Alzheimer's Scotland. I thought it'd be a nice thing for us all to do. Right, where are we? I saw all your emojis. Thank you so much for that. See, there's wee tweaks. I need a screen up there where I can still see the chat. Otherwise, I'm straining my eyes to try and see what's going on. Whisky off smooth finally has a use in whiskey. It's Dave's transition to class day. And then we've got. Aye, that's where all the Springbank 12 went. Look, I get one. Actually, if you want to look closely, I get one of them for each release, and I don't drink them fast enough. And then I'd kind of do it. But there's one. Remember, there's one over on the table, Jim. There's one over there. You're more than welcome anytime you come to London. You can come in and help me make a dent in them. So the next time I've not got any there. Joe, brilliant. Thank you so much for coming in. Great to see you. Loads of chat, guys. I'll always give my flowers to Roy, how he does this, honestly, like a swan. So much going on. It's alright. It's not, yeah. Oh, look. It's a wee segment, mate. Your reviews are far more for us to enjoy. Whereas that's a bit more off the cuff. Not long back from a so-called cool summer holiday to Iceland. One day was 26 degrees. Christ. Few Icelandic drams and very underwhelming with Flocky. Very fancy Women's Aid, yep, of course. Dave's Dreamy Drams. People often mistake my name as Stephen. Happens all the time, doesn't it? Absolute nightmare. I will say the Patreon members will be getting to see the version of that video with the music that was originally shot to before I realised that my license wouldn't allow me to use it, the music. So they will be getting a bonus video watching me strut my stuff in time. I sent it to my wife when I'd finished it, and she's just like, words fail me. Mr. Chris Malloy, howdy Whisky Fort, howdy back to ye. Hope you're keeping well. Yeah, so we've had lots of fun, but we're going to jump in, right? We're going to jump into the topic of tonight. If I can find my paperwork, let me find the subject, which is who is whiskey for? And I think what we were looking at was, have I lost one sheet? Have I lost the crucial kick-off sheet? I probably have. It's fine, we can make it up. But basically, who is whiskey for? And what we found was, we all saw it, that this shift, there was like 4 bets in whiskey that were made And the first one was to move to an audience that doesn't drink whiskey as such, but move to a more premium positioning. We saw Edrington get rid of Grouse and position Macallan always up there, but really position their other brands higher up. We saw Diageo do similar and kind of take stuff away, and the Talisker 18 was probably that tipping point when it became apparent, and then there was slight price rises with other brands, which you could kind of understand. Lagavulin 16 had been 60 quid forever, it felt like, and with cost of living, everything was changing price and that, okay, a 10 or tweak or whatever, but to come at the time when everything went, that impacted. And just everybody, it felt like everybody was kind of taken from the whiskey community rather than giving out. And the ones that kind of picked up in that space was the smaller distilleries, which we'll talk about. But is there any examples that you guys, you folk watching, can remember of that time period? I would say it was about 21, 22, so talk maybe 4 years ago, that it really started to shift quite quick, the premiumisation of whiskey. The second bit, celebrity releases. Everybody saw what a couple of celebs had done, and then everybody wanted a piece of the action. And in the whiskey space, well, they looked at George Clooney and Casamigos, and they thought, look how much Diageo's bought that for, we can do that. And then you had Ryan Reynolds do his gin, Diageo bought the Aviation gin, and then you had just, it started to trickle, it became quite a fast process. But before that, you had Beckham aligned with Hague Club. There's always been endorsements, but it felt like it upped its game a little bit. So it'd be intriguing to know from you guys' point of view what you thought of that and how that affected everything that was going on. On top of that, I'm just going to need to press this button a second, type comment, do that. On top of that, we had what felt like an abandonment of whiskey's core audience by brands that we'd supported for a while. And I say we as in, there was a shift away to everybody but a whiskey drinker. You were seeing a lot more cocktail focused, food focused, event focused marketing. You were seeing prices increasing. You were seeing brands not talking to you that you had maybe been with for a long time. And that obviously has a bit of a response, a natural response. And in my mind, it was you need more people to come in. You obviously do, but you also need to talk to the people that are already in the room. So there was that element, and then number four, like the fourth bit, that's kind of is still going to. I think the reckoning hasn't quite hit yet, but we know it's cask investment. All of a sudden, it was boomtown for whiskey and investment, and you couldn't move in the newspapers for stories of, I've bought my son a bottle of whiskey every year since he was born, and now he's 21 and he's buying a house with it. Or you had, you can buy this cask and it's sold for 1.1 million, and it was only 22 grand in 1985, 87. But the comparative money, like, you had a lot of that, and a lot of people been suckered in. So these bets and the way that people were doing it, I would say of the four big bets that the whiskey industry or the bigger brands had done, I think they've all kind of failed a wee bit. And I think that's why the question of who whiskey is for is pertinent, because people are going, well, what's happened here? Everybody's kind of lost their way a wee bit. You go in and, like, you've got Beyonce bringing out whiskey, and she brought it out to great fanfare last year, and then you don't see or hear anything about it anymore. But that's not to say it's not worth trying to get new audiences. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying these big bets have left these big brands in a kind of situation where they've put a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of money into it, and you've got nothing back. You've not seen anything come back. And I'm going to jump to the chat and see what you guys are saying about this. Because I think it'd be great to hear from the people who are whiskey enthusiasts, are whiskey geeks, love the stuff, how this affected you during that time. Let me see who we've got. Yeah, saying you make a very good VPub resemblance, well over half an hour in and ready to start with the topic. Well done. Look, at least I've got one. Saturday night drams, a lot of the time the topic is fly by the pans, isn't it? James, great to see you in, mate. Hope you're keeping well. Hope the summer's been good to you. Glenn, hello everyone. Brilliant to have you in, mate. I've just got time for a quick drive-by to tell you all how awesome I to pat David on the back. Glenn, mate, your support is always welcome. Neil saying whiskey's now mostly for old men with too much money and not enough brains, like me. That is one of the perceptions as well when you ask who whiskey is for, and they go it's for old men in leather chairs, and it's for rich people, and it's for investors, and it's funny when you think about it like that. This was saying it just felt like they were experimenting, to be honest. In the first one on the tasting, can't remember what it was now. Okay, no sure what that's about, but Lowlander's saying, speaking of celebrity collabs, when is the Macallan Drinks Whiskey limited edition coming out? 2028. Let's pencil it in the diary. 2028 we'll get in. If James Bond can get one. It's so funny. The boom and bust. That's a prime example. That James Bond bottle. They brought out the Diamonds Are Forever one. Just like that this year. A few years ago, you're not getting a sniff of that, and now it's discounted. It's the way the world is. John saying, I won't buy anything that's not by a celebrity, especially if it's Jamie Oliver. I would normally agree with you, but I did buy Mo Glenmorangie because of Harrison Ford. I'm not going to lie, it did put it front of mind to me. So sometimes it works. Celebrity whiskies for fans of celebrity. We used to sell lots of proper 12 when Conor McGregor fought. Those who bought it were really whiskey fans. Really, I guess, do whiskey fans buy it? Yeah. No, I can understand that, Jim, but like, it's one of those things that if it's done right, I kind of appreciated what Beyonce was doing. Like, Dr. Bill was involved. It didn't feel like they were half-arsing it. There was like time and process, and the reviews were it's alright, but it's 85 quid, and I know on her tour she sold a lot of it. That was like one of the drinks on the tour. If they're doing that, that's fine. It's more when it's just a money grab, or you put a popular female celebrity singer with a drink that she's said in interviews she hates. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing there? Cheers to Lost Soul 99 and 1 tonight. Brilliant. So good. They are so not for us brands and releases, yeah. And then Black Fen saying, I only discovered Dougie McLean via celebrity whiskey. Celebs just drive the prices up. They will be paid handsomely through the bottle price. Yeah, some of them do. Some of them are into it. I will say that. Like, I think the Nick Offerman collab with Lagavulin was great. He was really into it. The whiskey was actually good. I really enjoyed it. I spoke to, the name escapes me, of the gentleman that was the main whiskey guy who did that collaboration with Nick Offerman. I met him at the whiskey show a couple of years ago. Really passionate with his whiskey. Offerman was really passionate. They really knew what they wanted to do. They wanted to do some fun stuff. They wanted to do some different stuff. Brilliant. That's what it's about. Limited release. Have a bit of fun with it. But advertising and celeb endorsements aren't going anywhere. They work to an extent if they're done well. But the David Beckham's Hague Club one, that kind of just fizzled out after a while because they started putting the prices different and changing it and whatever. It was I think Hague Club was a good whiskey to do that with. It's a grain whiskey, it's super sweet. It was trying to get people's perception of whiskey changed. But could you imagine David Beckham sitting and drinking it? It just kind of made it a bit more difficult, didn't it? Two different versions of James's gin, and both were excellent. We mostly moved to new Japanese distillers because they have pumping out excellent stuff like Shindu, Tsumura, Maru, etc. Well, if Mac's still in, or if he's watching and catch up, he'll be able to tell you he's been on an island making his own whiskey for a month. So no doubt you'll get to try some of his. And then Joe's saying, "Are we past celebrity whiskey now? Seems like the tide's really turned." Yeah, I think so. And Noran Rad's in. Noran Rad, welcome in. Silver Surfer themselves. Not paying attention to the market and rubbish, and not aware of any celebrities involved in any ad except when it's mentioned during whiskey chats like this. And that's fine. I don't think they're trying to reach you, to be honest. And I know we're talking a lot about the ads and stuff like that. What about the other stuff? The target, the shift away, the premiumisation, the shift away in the cask investment. How has that affected it? Do you feel like it's went a little bit too far? Or do you mostly avoid it? Or because there was that stuff that happened with that whiskey brand that turned it was quite easy to find out they were cask investment funds, and they invited the greater good of the whiskey influence and world up to Edinburgh, and they did all that and whatever. And you're kind of looking at it going like, who's this? Who are they targeting here? Like, what's the purpose in this? And it's trying to legitimise really expensive bottles and stuff like that. So you have all these kind of things that happen, but I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on it. And yes, we're saying the only celebratory whiskey I've come close to buying was the Still Game ones. I nearly did that as well. I nearly did it with football bottle. I'll buy the odd football bottle and stuff, but it's not really. It's a bit different than that. I agree on the Offerman and the Lags. The Harrison Glenmore was pleasant as well. Was that the Harrison Ford, like that limited release? So they were like really limited. The bottle numbers were ridiculously low, but you could buy them for ages, and then at auction, crazy value. Chris was saying, I hate to admit it, but both the William Defoe Lafroig and Harrison Ford Glenmore look good to me, but I'm not buying either unless I find them for 50% off. You're not going to find that Harrison Ford one, but the William Defoe one's a bit funny for me as well. So Glenmore and Lafroig are owned by LVMH, Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy. They've went down this approach. Two interesting guys. I can understand that. I like, in my head, I can understand the Defoe angle, but I believe that Harrison Ford drinks whiskey more than I believe that William Defoe sits with Lafroig, if that makes sense. The Jack and Victor blend at Lockham Handle was decent enough, recently priced, but unless you were a fan of Still Game, who was it for? Exactly, but it was, and it was a lot of just, I'm going to put this in brackets, normal punters. It was just for people buying gifts and whatever, and they could churn it out because people love Still Game. And Julian said, yeah, any whiskey that draws new drinkers and can't be a bad thing. I completely agree. But I think when these brands conglomerates, giant companies, have hedged their bets in certain ways, it can be detrimental as well. And I think you can go to the complete opposite side of that, where you go after the connoisseur, the whiskey infused, the geek, and you become Waterford, where you just put out too much about terroir and stuff like that, and it just becomes so jumbled that it sinks your business at the same time as well. There's a few Scotch distilleries, like fairly new, that have went down a similar rate where they were churning stuff out. English Bimber, just constantly churning stuff out, and it's kind of get lost now, and it's like, well, who's even talking about Bimber anymore? So it's weird, isn't it? It's like bring people in but don't push people away or confuse people. OG Hay Club and the nice blue bottle was the most flavourous thing I ever bought, basically vodka. And that was the point. That was exactly the point of it. It was to try and get people to approach whiskey, enjoy it. But the problem was that nice blue bottle was expensive. and it went from like £20 a bottle to 45 overnight, because we're making it premium, and people aren't buying whiskey at 45 quid when they don't know anything about whiskey. All I'm saying, has anybody tried the relaunched Lafroig 15? I haven't, to be honest. I'm so out of the loop with new releases, absolutely out of the loop, and I'll be brazen. If anybody wants to send me brands, want to send me their new stuff, by all means, get it this way. I've had such a fallow, let's call it a fallow summer, so the palate's ripe and ready. Send me all your stuff. Send me your William Defoe Lafroig, by all means. Send Harrison Ford to the Black Lodge, we'll get him on. Let's see. Doodle Dram saying, to me it often feels like the big brands throw all sorts of marketing ideas at less interested consumers just to see what might stick, from car racing spectators to moviegoers. Yeah, absolutely, and I think it comes from an industry-wide problem of, in these positions, it's very, it's not seasonal, but it's transient. It's like 3 years on to the next gig, reset, 3 years on it, and once you know that, and like in the world of marketing, you see it everywhere. These brands get to a point, if they're not well established, they do something for a couple of years and then they move on to the next thing, then they move on to the next thing, because it's new people coming in all the time. So we've spoke about the big bets, and I'm going to move on to the next part, which is the recruitment problem, which we've touched on already tonight, and how do you bring new people in, right? I am not adverse to targeting any demographic with whiskey. I think it's really good. I think it shouldn't always be so serious. It shouldn't always be male, pale and stale. It shouldn't just be leather-bound books and chairs and whatever. And as I've said about woven and people like that, like, I love all these approaches and I love all the new stuff they're doing because it will bring people in. But there's an element to it when you're going after younger consumers, that's, and I've got the facts in front of me here. And the problem is, the palate is literally biological. So your palate is literally biological, and your bitterness sensitivity is higher when you're younger. It's a fact, right? And it declines with age. And I've got loads of stats here, but basically you get super tasters, right? Whose palate is super, like, so ingrained and so sensitive to everything, and they drink the least alcohol because it destroys their palate. And so when like a 22-year-old drinks whiskey and they say, oh, it burns, it does. It actually does to them. All they take. And I remember trying whiskey when I used to work in the bar at 21 and having a Lagavulin because it was a misorder, and I'd finished, my boss said, I'll have this, and it tastes like chewing on a burnt stick. It was so carbon, and it was so like, oh my god, how can anybody drink that? And now the palate has got older, the hairline's massively recessed, and the acquired taste is neuroscience. It's your palate is built, age is built into it. More salt on things, more sour sweets and all that kind of stuff. So then how do you approach that, and how do you get people to drink whiskey? And that's it. It's such an interesting thing, and that's why I'm very much, unless it's something super special, do what you want with it. Genuinely just do it. Americans, I've harped on, if you watch the stream normally, I harp on about what I saw in America, bourbon country. They do not care how you drink it at all. The drink is in the glass, and it will be, as long as you drink it and buy a bottle, they don't care. And they've got such rituals around their old fashions, and they've got such rituals around Manhattans, and they've got such rituals around Coke, bourbon and Coke, or it's with ice, loads of ice in it. Make sure you can't taste it, whip it back. And I think there is an element to that. And it's funny because bourbon being sweeter, so then how do we do that with malt whiskey? Grain whiskey easier. How do we approach it? How do we bring it in? What can we do that way? But then you move away from taste, and then you come onto the money problem. So then who's it for in that respect? Because I think the average consumer hate using that term. The average punter goes into a supermarket, looks at what's on offer and goes, right, vodka, there's no brand loyalty, what's on offer? That one, I'll have that bottle this week. Whiskey, gifting time, well, that was 50, it's now £22, right, I'll buy that. And you see it in the biggest selling whiskies of the year in the market. Jura is a price promotion stalwart. It's always on offer, there's always something. And so then you're asking people, right, I want you to drink good whiskey, you're never going to try it. How do you get into it? What can you try? Oh, it's 35 quid a bottle. Oh, it's 50 quid a bottle. Oh, it's 40 quid a bottle. Nah, too expensive. Alright, I'll just stick to my vodka and coke. I'll stick to my gin and tonic. I'll do whatever. Like, so you've got that element to it. And then the last part of that is, like, we know on trade. You go to bars, it's not cheap anymore. You're not going to bars and get that. You get whiskey festivals and stuff that we go to, but the normal consumer, shelf space limited, so they're not going to try the good stuff. I always compare it to people that maybe want to get into wine, and if they go, oh, I don't like whiskey, and I'm like, well, do you say that about wine? If the only wine you ever had was like Jacob's Creek, or Echo Falls, or Lambrini, and so you've got all these kind of factors into it. And my favourite thing about this at the moment is everybody's talking about Gen Z. Gen Z drink far less, and they're sober and they're healthy and whatever. It's no because that they want to be, it's because it's too expensive. They're not rejecting it, they're rejecting bad value, they're rejecting the cost of living, they're rejecting that. They want to drink well, they want to drink premium, but by premium they don't want to drink just cheap. So recruitment is hard, and it's expensive, and it's slow, and it sounds hopeless, but how do we get new people to drink whiskey? Well, the real question is that's who's whiskey for? How do we land on it? Part 2 ran over. We'll get in to see what you guys are saying in the chat. But I hope that gives you food for thought, and I'm really intrigued to see how you guys are approaching this and what you think. Let me have a wee drink, and I need to get a dram. And I'm going to put this comment up from Neil that is exactly that. Michael Henry told us about this. Right, what shall we go for? I need to see off this. I think we're going to go for I'm going to go for woven. I love this. I love that super blend. I'm going to get the woven on the go. Give me a second, guys. I said I was going to leave that on the screen, and I changed the screen. Apologies, guys. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Dude was saying, to me it often feels... Where's that one? Let me find it. Yep, so we spoke about that, and then if we come down in the chat, sorry, I'm reading rather than talking to you guys. Adrian's on a chooked up batch 4 in the glass now, really great summer dram, lovely mate, cheers. That super blend is great. I remember the first time I tried it and just being like, my goodness, so much going on in it. Henrik saying even Roddy loves a highball. I've heard at VPub it's for real, and Rafi as I go from time to time. Exactly, highballs, amazing. Love a highball. I stumbled upon by accident. I was on Moscow Mules one afternoon in here, summer afternoon, last year before. My brother and that were visiting, and I had absolute vanilla. I had the fancy ginger beer and some lime. And I was like, these are lovely. And then ran out of vodka and looked about the shelves and found a Glenfiddich 12. Let me try it. Sensational. Glenfiddich 12 ginger beer, some lime. So tropical, so fruity. And I'm like, well, why not? Why are we not the thing just pour it? Seeing these chats coming up. Did thing just pour it high from the Addams Family? Exactly. I've got, maybe I get another camera set up. Know that I've got enough on the go, and you can see me from different angles pouring it at the same time. Julian saying, be interested to know if ours nails are better for the producers for margin versus sales. We know we are small in the market, but what about value to chase? I would say honestly, I know Diageo's biggest profit drivers are obviously Guinness, Smirnoff, and Bell's. Like, it's cheap to produce, and so we are, as I think the Michael Henry comment said, like, we are a small. That's why the indies do so well at us. That's why there's independent bottlers. That's why I feel like the likes of Glasgow and Ardnamurchan are really leaned into the community, because they're small producers who know that if we buy into them, they will sell X amount of bottles and then they can bring new custom in. Whereas I think at a higher level, you're going to have to scale. And you see it with Ben Romack and the likes, when they're starting to dip their 20 a few more enthusiast bottles, but you still have that element. I think there's a distillery that I really want to go to, and hopefully it might happen, but Glenmurray. I think Glenmurray's great whiskey, and even like the supermarket stuff, by supermarket, like mass produced, some of them, like the Twisted Vine, I think it was, and stuff, great, but they're no aiming for enthusiasts as such, but the whiskey's good enough. And I'm like, that, imagine you get that from the supermarket at Christmas, somebody gives you that, you're in. But yeah, it's one of those things. I'm just going to all these sheets of paper that I now have to see what's going on. I really should have put numbers on them, to be honest. It's quite funny. But I think we're talking about all this and we're going round in circles, but it's not round in circles, we're going round to different topics. I think the growth segment right now, the way that brands are going to survive, and the way that people are going whiskey's going to have to adapt. And I read an article today in the Scotsman that was about whiskey needs to find its Aperol spritz, and I agree. I think we need to find more serves. We have to get away from that. Selfishly, we need that to happen so the good stuff can happen for us. People love to bash Diageo. It's a very big target. It's very easy. But without the mass-produced stuff and what they're doing, we don't get that. We don't get the Ben Rinnes. And it's tough. Like Glengarry, owned by a massive conglomerate now. Love it. Casks, 2 independent bottles and all that. You can have your opinions, you can do what you want, but we need more volume to be consumed so that the people making the whiskey can make the side projects, can make the really interesting stuff. I think we're going to see an amazing time for blenders. I think like the likes of Woven and people like that, it's going to be so fascinating because there's going to be so much stock. We're seeing stock hit the market. Bowmores, independent Bowmores galore. Independent Lefroy's are coming. Like, we're seeing it land and land. I think it's all really encouraging, but at the same time, let's just let them drink it how they want. like I can see one of the comments that was saying about green spot and black fend, green spot ginger ale goes amazing. Yeah, of course it will. It's Jameson. Do you know what I mean? Like it's from Middleton. It's great, and it's such a nice. It complements each other so well. And have it, absolutely have it. Whisky obviously just became a fan of Highball this year. Whisky soda is fantastic. I find that if I drink a lot of whisky soda, and I'll do it like I used to do it, like if I go abroad or I go to a festival or something. Weirdly no ill effects the next day. That I would normally drink, but you know what I mean. Just refreshing, easy, keeps you at a nice level. If you don't want to be on pints and stuff like that. There we go. Do this. So it was a great way to polish all that crap that I have hiding at the back of the cabinet. Exactly, and there's no harm in that. I'll just leave that there. I'm not going to comment on that at all. The drum, not in the slightest. Don't want to pass in tall glass of ice. Black Nut Vanya, 50ml, good ginger beer, carbonated water, squeeze of lemon wedge, great drink. Exactly. I think there's no harm in experimenting. I tried to do a video where I was trying to find something to mix with Iron Brew. I don't like whiskey and Iron Brew. I can't do it. I don't think it complements each other. I'm sure there's a whiskey out there that it would complement. Just none that I tried. None of them. Glen Murray, perfect single malt for the whiskey curious. Exactly. So there is whiskey out there that can bring people in, and then they can, if they really like it, they can go on this adventure with it, and it doesn't cost them the world, and they can do that. And I think I really want, I kind of had a pointed answer to the question is who is whiskey for, and I think what I got back on Instagram when I asked the question and what I've got in the chat as well has been, it's for us. Whiskey's for us. It's for me. It's for you. It's not for the investors or this or that. It is because they're still part of everyone in us. But if they want to do it, let them go away and do it. But I don't think they have the clout in the market anymore, the sway that hopefully will pull people away from drinking it. You've got people that will collect, and that's absolutely fine. The whole whiskey adage of one for me, one for the shelf, that was commonplace before lockdown, before the world went mad. Take this off. So I think all those kind of factors, the only thing that we need to be really careful of is gatekeeping and cliques. And I would love to think that I know any of you guys that I've met in person at any of the shows or any of the weekends or even just through online aren't that. I think we are an open community and whatever, and when people step out of line it's kind of slapped down very quickly and stuff like that, but there are others, and it's very easy to punch down and belittle brands and belittle this and do that, and that's fine if you want to do that. There's so much positive and good news that we can share and talk about, and we should take the positives from stuff, and people have done that recently with some like horrific stuff that's happened within the whiskey community and world. They've turned that into positives, and that's what we should be looking at. We shouldn't dwell on the negatives. And so like where I landed in all this and all these thought processes and trying to come to it was that whiskey is for everybody. It's for you, it's for me, it's for him, for her, they, them. Everybody's invited except arseholes. No time for arseholes. Arseholes can put off. It's for everybody except arseholes. If you could get a wee asterisk with that, because it's great. It's the best community. I struggled a wee bit after Campbelltown and some bits and pieces that happened that really sucked the joy out of it for me. And it was sitting and thinking about this topic and doing stuff that I realised, no. This, you guys watching me do this, you guys that engage, when I meet people in whiskey bars, strangers, or I meet people that I've met over the years, whatever. It's so the conviviality, the bringing together. That's what whiskey's all about, and that's what I tell everybody. That's what it's about, but it's not for ourselves. So let's get them away. And I'm going to go to the comments. Let's see. Highland Hamish is saying, when we meet in the Highlands, mate? Soon, honestly, soon. I've been trying. I keep looking. I was trying to make Donut Whiskey Festival work. It just wasn't happening. But yeah, a deep dive in Glenmurray, by all accounts, I will be so up for that. I love it. I think it's so underappreciated. What else we got? In case you wonder why I keep looking this way, it's so I can pull the chat up on this. Let's see. James is saying, probably a rye might help Iron Brew, added citrus and spice. Maybe, aye. It's got such... Iron Brew's got so many weird notes, and I would only mix it with 1901 Iron Brew, because that's the Iron Brew of my youth. That's what I grew up on. None of this new Iron Brew, or Iron Brew Zero, or Cherry Iron Brew and all that. I'm saying that, don't be a snob, okay? I'm like, the only Iron Brew's this Iron Brew. I saw a barman at the new Arbeck Hotel in Port Ellen making an Iron Brew whiskey cocktail. Yeah, like, I'm sure if you add other stuff to it on top of the Iron Brew, that you could probably make something pretty spectacular. I just struggle with it. Black Fen agrees. I agree most whiskey doesn't go with Iron Brew, but Glasshouse made a lot of lemon works well. Yep, I've heard. I know Roy and a lot of you guys rave about Glasshouse. Do they still? I don't think they still make it, do they? The whiskey community is usually super helpful and stuff. Yeah, no, it really is. It really is, and I think that's why I want to get people into it. And I've got a friend coming over from Norway, so he's originally from Southampton. We worked together then. Him and his partner, who's Norwegian, she had jobs, so they moved over there. He's coming over. Looped him in for Glasgow Whisky Festival, and buzzing for that. And then one of my other mates, who agreed to it months ago, but very absent-minded, and what actually are we doing for Glasgow and that? And the joy I had last year of taking them up to Glasgow, this year, like, I can't wait again, because Andy, that's coming from Norway, likes a whiskey but doesn't really know anything, and I'm like, we'll just put you here and I'll let everybody else educate you, because there's nothing better than the community coming together and being like, oh, what do you like? Do you want to try this? Try that? Try that? It's so good. It's so good. Can finally have a dram, but what? What have you got? What have you got? What are you hankering for? What do you fancy? They're saying, I love trying to get someone into whiskey and finding the greatest hook so far is surprising people with the variety. Flavour hooks from each corner, smoke, fruit, sweets, fun. Absolutely, absolutely. And I do that. I ask questions, and the questions that I ask aren't about whiskey at all. I do a quiz around tea, coffee. Do you prefer crisps? Do you prefer chocolate? Do you like dark chocolate, white chocolate, milk chocolate? Do you like summer's days, winter's nights? Take it through that angle and really work them to make them understand, oh, well, look, try this. And then they try it and they go, oh. That look on their face when somebody tries something and they're just like, it's brilliant. James Morgan saying, yeah, Russell's gone. Yep. So flippers have gone. Besides Springbank, nothing flips now. That's great for whiskey drinkers. Collectors from 5 years ago also shat it and ran when they're on the pig's back. They can afford auctions. I've not even looked. And maybe I'm making up. I think maybe that's I think October video, September, October. Do an auction one of, like, I might do a rehash of the one I did before, of like how I did a 3-part series of like auctions and how auctions work. What I might do is I might grab a couple of bottles, send them to auction, show how the selling works, but then maybe bid on a few bottles and show how the buying works for people, and maybe we see how that plays out. That might be a wee concept. But yeah, gamble. Alan, mate, brilliant to have you in. So good to see you. Yes, it's been a very busy family summer. Very busy. My daughter is free now. Free going on 30. It's been non-stop. But yes, it's been very good. I hope you and yours are all great as well, mate. Just try to catch up. Search Hunter, mate, brilliant to have you in as well. This is great, seeing all the names from the Saturday Night Jam stuff, and it has been a while, it really has. Glasshouse is currently available. Yep, I'll need to try and get one. Well, not whiskey infused, we're flavour infused. Exactly, and whiskey, I'll tell this story to the day I pop my clogs, but that bottle that triggered me of Carnmore, Ben Nevis, opening it, and then I'd been getting into whiskey, but it was just bacon fries, and I couldn't work out how it tasted like bacon fries, and I went, that was me in the rabbit hole. How did they make this taste like bacon fries? They must have added something to it, and then it's just chasing the flavour. And other people in my office, I compare it to Pokemon, where you've got to catch them all. You just don't know what's out there. Orchid House, I had that the other day. Dug it out, it's in the house. Brilliant drum. Brilliant. And again, it's flavour components and bringing people in. And I gave it to my old boss. He was leaving, and he's a gin drinker. And he's like, oh, I don't drink whiskey, I drink gin. I was like, you like apples, you like lemonade, you like soda. Take this and just pour some soda water into it and have that with some ice and start there. You can't go wrong at all, and it's just that alchemy of the blending and the mixing and all that kind of stuff. It's fantastic. It's such a great thing. And I know I'm kind of veering away from the who is whiskey for, and I'm almost like pontificating at this point, but to you guys, like, what was the thing that brought you in? What made you get into whiskey? Like, what was the serve? What was the pour? Was it a cocktail? Was it a dram? Was it family? Was it friends? Was it a moment? Because I feel like whiskey is a big moment drink, so it'd be great to know. So I was saying, I made August a run month to calm down on whiskey buying, ended up buying 11 bottles of rum. You just love the chase, mate. You're all about the chase. Adrian saying auction 6 increased fees is a sure sign in the market. Yeah, there was some that were paying. I saw that. They were paying commission for people to put bottles in. Yeah, there was definitely. There'll always be a marketplace, but there always was before, and I think it's just that self-correction and finding the actual, like, when it tips. Let's see, where are we at? When is Saturday Night's Jams back? Well, not this weekend. I've got my mum is down from Glasgow. It's my niece's birthday on Saturday, so we'll be doing that. But I would hope. Let me look at the calendar as if it's the week after. So Saturday Night Jams will resume the week after. I haven't had a holiday this summer, and so we're looking at possibly end of September. Going to be a week, but I'll try. So I've got a choice in when we go. But the cadence will come back every fortnight, and we'll get back into it. Hopefully starting next week, next Saturday night at the same place, same time. Might have horses, might have dogs. We'll see. Might have rabbit. Might have like some form of racing, gambling to satisfy all your gambling needs on the live stream. It's the best thing about Drinks Whiskey's streams. The horses. I'll need to get one of those buttons so it goes like, whose horse is that? But for now we've got
Hi there.
So I was saying that rum got me into whiskey. Tasting something which, if I smelled it, would be disgusting. When tasting in a different context, just takes you on a flavour journey. Exactly, and I think it's the sense, isn't it? Is it taste? Is it, someone's told me? Is it smell or taste that's linked? It's only I think it's sense, like the smell. The sense is linked to your part of the brain with memory. So only one of the senses that has it or something, and unlocks it, and that's why it's such a huge component, and why whiskey is, because it's so potent, it latches on as a memory to time, place, when you tried something. Like I can do it, like I can remember trying my favourite whiskey at the Glasgow Whisky Show, and Frank Peathead was stood there, and I can see other people stood around me as I drank that whiskey, and that like ingrained in the memory bank. It was a Tom and tool. Like, there you go. Guess what my first whiskey was I love it. I get the chats here, but they don't come up. Shame, I thought it was a trip to the woods. I'm saying I was a bourbon drinker first, but a tour of Scotland in the early 2000s, coming home with the classic regions bottling from Diageo probably turned me on to Scotch, then I later found the community. Yeah, exactly, and I think that's it. I was a barman for years in Glasgow and hated whiskey. And I mean, like, hate, like, it was for tourists, because a lot of the regulars, a lot of the local regulars would have maybe a half and a half, but it'd be like a Bell's or a Grouse. Malts, too expensive, we're not into them. And then we would have a lot of tourists, because it was a city centre bar. And I remember there was a group of Swedish guys came in one night. It was like Tuesday night or Wednesday night, it wasn't busy. And they got Highland Park 25-year-olds, doubles. And I went, doubles? And it was £7.50 a measure, so it was £15 for a double 50ml Highland Park 25. That's who drank whiskey in my head, and it was gateway. It was slowly over time trying to get into it, wanting to get into it, and then that trigger that happened. And then I said, Alan, no pressure, David. Recharge the batteries. Looking forward to Saturday night's coming back. Oh mate, I wish I could say I've recharged the batteries while I've been away. I've not stopped. But absolutely. And then let's have a super chat for the horses, I imagine. But no, like the Saturday night, come away from the topic, but Saturday night drams and stuff. Yeah, all that's coming back. As I said, there was a wee bit of wavering around some stuff that had happened in whiskey. I'm not going to go into, but if you're in the Patreon and that, we've chatted about it there. But no, I'm super positive about it. I think what's going on, I think the people that are succeeding at the moment are the ones that are doing it right, if that makes sense. They're leaning in, they're listening, they're engaging. But it's not to say that we dictate what they do. I think there is a role for everybody in everything in whiskey, and it's so positive to see. And I saw the new Ben Romack champions being announced. Great selection. Very much looking to broaden out to people and hopefully make it. And I would love more brands to do stuff like that and lean in. Let's see what else. Exactly, what about a special reserve for £26? Funny story about that, I get a text, one of my close mates, if you watch the channel and you saw my Highland Adventure road trip last year with my big American friend Jack, time difference, he lives in LA, so I wake up to text messages and stuff from him and vice versa. He sent me a picture last week saying, I feel like I've robbed them. paid £35 for this, and it was $35, and it was a bottle of Special Reserve. I didn't have it in my heart to say like I can get that in Tesco now. Like, it's crazy because there's so much excess stock. There's single barrels, like the whiskey group I'm in. We've got Wellers coming, single barrel Wellers that some of the guys fronted and we've chipped in. They're here, they're in the country. We're just trying to get them sorted at a bonded warehouse and stuff. It's crazy, and I'd had some chats at the start of the year, and it just I never got. I don't know what happened in the end. I think it was on both sides. The time just ran away, and we never emailed back or whatever. But I'd looked at doing a bottling. Nothing fancy, nothing big, just something fun, affordable, tasty, to put out, because you can now, because that pressure's gone, like the financial burden of it all, because I think the cash prices and that were just getting out of hand, whereas now people are just sitting on tons of whiskey and going, do you want to do a bottle? So it's something that's definitely in the future, hopefully before the end of the year. Let me see where we're at. So I'm trying to say sense of smell. Where's that comment? Can I read it here? Sense of smell does link very close to your memory. I've had whiskies with my dad that unlock a childhood memory for him. We talk about it and I learned something about him I wouldn't have known without it. Exactly. It's definitely, I'm sure it's smell. I'm absolutely sure it's smell that does that. And Highland Park 25 and Neil Bottles remains one of my favourite whiskies. Dalmore 12 got me into the whiskey in the mid-90s. Where's Roy? It's good whiskey. It's really good whiskey when it's good. Now, is it for us? Probably not. Talisker 10, 1995 for Mike. I appreciate that, Sarchanta. I will return, don't you worry. I'm back, I'm here. Glenlivet and Glenfiddich. Brilliant. This chat's all over the place, apologies. I was drinking Glenlivet and Glenfiddich, but then went to a brew glad I tasted. That really got me into whiskey. Probably because of that shift in profile. It's such a like great thing to happen when it clicks. Mojo Low, one word, friendship. Those evenings with my closest friends searching for interesting experiences and wanting to share our flavour profiles. Apologies, I couldn't get the words out there. Brilliant. But that's what we're talking about. And so then how do we bring that to other people and who's it for? Well, I think it comes. Just checking the time there. Loads of time for a VPub, haven't I? I'm out of practice. I'm slowing down. Oh. Yes, we're saying whiskey was treated as a gimmicky nightclub shot between me and my mates. Eventually slowed the pace and started to appreciate the flavour. And that's exactly what I was saying about palate. It's scientific. It's natural. You shoot it. People build their whole personalities around Jack Daniels. And then if we try Jack Daniels now compared to when 18, sip it. I find it tastes then. And then you go to Jack Daniels 10, 12, 14. Oh, and you start to get the minerality and you get all this kind of stuff, which is just lost in your palate when you're younger. Lowlander saying, so we can look forward to a Springbank Drinks Whiskey collab release towards the end of the year. Nice. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But if it happens, then I'll put you down, Lowlander, for 4 cases, I'm sure. Alan saying, rather dull, it's Lagavulin 16. For me, it's not dull at all. I think it's great. It's such a definitive dram for people as well. I know Roy spoke about his Lager 16 experience and stuff like that, and if it really grabs your palate. But it would be interesting to see what rough age were you when you had that tipping point. So I would have been to enjoy whiskey, let's say, probably in my mid-30s. Early mid-30s, it started to make sense. And then really tipped in, mid-36. 35, 36. My palate started to grasp it, so much so that we had lockdown. And I got married in Spain. And as part of, we had to go out once restrictions were lifted and stuff, we went out for the food tasting and the wine tasting. And it's amazing, you go to this restaurant building type thing and there's like couples, they just bring out all this food, but then they bring out the wine pairing. And so this is coming out of COVID, and I'm not a wine guy at all, but I'm on the nose, I'm too okay. No, that's got this, that's got that. My wife's looking at me, my wife to be, she's going, when did this happen? It was all down to that, and my senses developing and just having that time. Which is funny because one of the first videos that I've got on this channel is me trying an Auchentoshan, and the jokes write themselves, but that's how I found out I had COVID, because I went to smell it and I couldn't smell anything, and I just kept going. I just creative editing and was looking up stuff and I was like, I can't smell anything. So dig that video out if you want to go back and have a laugh from 2020 of me smelling this Auchentoshan, and I'm just like, can't smell anything. I don't think there's much to smell to that drama, to be honest, but it was quite funny. Buffalo Trace Distillery, who make Weller, are better at hype than Flav. They've created a false image of scarcity and drag the bottles to the lock. Yeah, exactly, and they've got that Weller Millennium at the peak, the Icarus bottle, where it just plummeted. I demand. Everybody was like, nah, enough. Absolutely no idea. Glenmorangie Millennial Malt was my gateway dram. Brilliant. We've got, say, mid-30s. Probably just like to my mid-20s, yep. First whiskey I enjoyed, I was 24. Clearly time travelling, given I'm only 21 now. Oh, mate. Barely a day over 19. And Lolan's saying, did you go full on Richard Patterson, chuck the whiskey on the floor? What whiskey was that? I do need to get another whiskey. I'll leave you on that note. We can maybe do.
Hello there.
And we're back. Apologies for Richard Patterson enjoying himself a little bit too much. Had to go for the Living Souls. It's when we talk about who whiskey is for, right? And that whiskey, that Living Souls, I recommended it to so many people. If you're a Saturday Night Dram viewer, or if you're a VPub viewer or whatever, and you've seen it, or you've tried Living Souls, and the Dramface guys did a review of it. It's phenomenal. I love it. Love it so much, and it reminds me why whiskey should be for everybody, the joy you can get out of it. You can't force people into it, but I'm so, as I said, I'm so out of the loop. I need to sort my whiskey shows out coming up to try and get the palate up to date on the latest and greatest releases. As we're saying, don't think I got in until I moved to Glasgow at 20 and started going to Bonaccord whiskey tastings. But even that's young for the palate, to be fair. having folk around you who are supportive and willing to teach and be a good influence matters so much. It absolutely does. It really does. And I think having that encouragement, I think online during COVID, the VPub community, you guys, everybody that was engaging and watching and stuff like that, you would learn so much through just being with them. What was the SMWS bottle? It's code 12 if you want to look that up. And I'm pretty sure it's bourbon. I think it might be second fill bourbon cask. Let me. Oh, can't. Will it show? There we go. We can actually see it. I think it says. What does it say? Handrails and hay bales. Not sure. It's not opened yet. The plan was maybe open it tonight, but we'll see. My gateway Scotch was Bowmore 12 and it was $25 about 25 years ago, but I was casually drinking whiskey before that. Lovely, absolutely lovely whiskey. So I think we're almost at the end of it, the kind of topic stage before we get to the quiz. Speaking about like trying not to make it negative at all, right? Not at all. But gatekeeping. Have you ever had an instance where someone's told you, put you off something, directed you elsewhere, whatever, and then you've went back yourself and went, actually, I like this. It's almost a stubbornness. But I find that sometimes that can happen as well, where people are like, oh no, you're new to whiskey. Don't try that. You won't like that. Try this. Because I think that's something else we need to be open with. We shouldn't be snaring down at like, oh well, this is for us and that's for you or whatever. But I think it'd be really interesting to know from your point of view. As I said, whiskey's for everybody. It should just be for everybody. I think we're seeing brands start to lean in on that, start to appreciate it, start to understand. But if they were more open, I would love them to be more open with their stats, like we were talking about. What percentage of us contribute to them? But also you can't depend on us. Let me see. You can see here, so I'm reading, I went really quiet there. I was trying to follow a conversation between Petehead and Whisky Novice about, and Whisky Novice asked the question, which is a fair question, which is, don't consider solid stock whiskey, because I think there's some great solid stock whiskies out there, and the process of making it, the McDonald's whiskies that need to be the same all the time, every time. How do you land on it? And he's saying I hardly have perma-chef bottles, mostly buy single cask independent bottles, so little chance I get more than one. Which is absolutely fine, but name a few. Quarter cask, brilliant. Ardbeg 10, pour ask, yeah. All the best. Can't argue with that. So this is a really interesting one for me, Frank, that you're having the Campbelltown connections. I've got a bottle of that. I've had it up there and I opened it and I found it quite, it's a polite one way of saying this, robust, a little bit rough around the edges, so I'll need to go back to it because I've not had it for a long time now. Just you saying that. He was put off brutal laddie for the perceived lactic notes. Absolutely love it. Yeah, like I would never put that down. Like people's determination not to like Jura and they don't make good whiskey. Exactly. Jura is such an easy target. Such an easy target. And don't get me wrong, I've got bottles of Jura behind there that don't get touched. I've tried and they don't get touched, and they are what they are. But they are cheap. The bottles I've been given are cheap bottles of Jura. The same way that if I was given cheap bottles of anything, I don't expect it to be, after tax and whatever, the same. But the people there are trying their best. They're doing their job, and the whiskey that does come out when you get it, that's more aimed towards us, is good whiskey. But if people like Jura, they like it. So I was trying to send will defend Borask, which is a great juice. Challenging at a drop. It was very solid, but bottle wise. Kyle saying, just got in from dinner, poured another Merkin Society dram, it literally bounced off my tongue. Tried a lower proof bourbon, it's doing much better. Must have been the citrus and the chicken. Exactly. But that's it, it's placing whiskey with the right people, it's finding out who it's for, how we do it, why we do it. There's so much behind all these factors. And I think on that note, guys, I'm going to put my agenda sheet to the side. We have a quiz this evening to the guys that gals that have stayed the course. Thank you so much. I can see a few people are jumping off right now. All Grain Underground, first time seeing you. See you next time, folks. Off to a friend's house, solve the world's problem while enjoying some good whiskey. What better reason to leave? Have a wonderful evening. I am going to do the housekeeping to try and set up this quiz. I use a very different software to Roy, and what that's going to do is it means my chat is going to disappear from here. And I'm going to do that, and I'm seeing before the chat disappears, I'm going to pull up these bits. I've only tried the Campbelltown connection a couple of times, both in the wee tune. I must admit, like you, Dave, I've struggled a bit with it. Yeah, I tried the Highland connection. They did love that, but I couldn't get on with it. So I'm going to go back. I will go back to it based on Frank's. And then early in my whiskey journey, I basically tried what Ralphie said was certainly not for beginners. Edradour, I know Springbank was about the only one I didn't properly appreciate, and that's absolutely fine. And to be fair, you don't have to appreciate Springbank. Jeff Whiskey, no into it that much at all. It's absolutely fine. Everybody's palate's different, and we should embrace it. There was when I went to Glasgow last year, where one of my mates tried an Ardnahoe, and his tasting notes were so wrong, to the point it was offensive. I think I've got it on camera, I don't know. But we have a quiz. I thought I was safe here and Maz will quiz him. I don't think it'll be that bad, guys, to be honest. Let me see if this works. I'm going to press a button here and hopefully, let me see if this goes here. Hopefully it'll work. There we go. Right, bear with me. So the quiz this evening is around whiskey and advertising. What we've been talking about for a good chunk of the evening. Very similar format to what you're all used to. First time, leave your selection in the chat. I'll give plenty of time between the questions before I move on, and just try and keep track. There's 10 questions. Some of these, they're not the easiest. Question 1. You can take a brand anywhere. A surreal 1960s, 70s British campaign with the namesake animal turning up in pubs and living rooms. Which brand was this? A. Black and White. B. White Horse. C. Famous Grouse. PhD teachers. Quite a good start, especially if you're not from the UK, and like myself, not alive in the 60s or 70s, but it's quite a famous one. I just saw PowerPoint. Modulo, no, it's not PowerPoint, because I'm on a Mac. I'm using Google Slides, which is an absolute nightmare. And I'm enjoying seeing this. B, because you search under B, Kyle, B, Modulo, oh dear, 80s baby here. Same, John, saying C, no idea, must be B. From Pete Head, oh it's B. A lot of B's, A for Adidas, from Jan. You doing here, mate? Get back to work. B, unicorn, B, B. And the answer, of course, is B, white horse. So the ad itself would have the horse wandering into offices and trains and front rooms, and in the ad, nobody. That was perfectly normal. So give yourself a round of applause if you got that. 1 for 1. Next up. I did say this would be quite a difficult quiz. Japanese TV spots filmed on the set of Kagemusha. I'll let Mac from Kanbai Planet correct that. Featuring Akira Kurosawa and Francis Ford Coppola. Later cited by Sofia Coppola as the inspiration for Lost in Translation. Which company commissioned these ads? Was it Nika, Kirin, Suntory, or Mars Shinshu? I've just seen the Surge Hunter say I've got to leave, might as well have a perfect score. Thanks so much for joining this evening, mate. Appreciate it. Yeah, Japanese TV ads filmed on the set of Kagemusha, featuring Akira Kurosawa and Francis Ford Coppola for this whiskey company. Later cited by Sofia Coppola as inspiration for Lost in Translation, which company commissioned them? Nika, Kirin, Suntory, Mars. A lot of guesses here. I'm seeing a lot of C, a lot of Kirin. Let's go. Let's see what one it is. It was C, Suntory. Coppola was an executive producer on Kagemusha. The ads caught 2 legends between takes. So I think quite a lot of people went for that. Question number 3. We've already spoke about this tonight, so this should be a give me. 2024, which global superstar launched Sir Davis, an American whiskey made with Moet Hennessy and named after a great-grandfather, a Prohibition-era moonshiner? Was it Rihanna, Jennifer Lopez, Taylor Swift, or Beyonce? It's kind of hard to talk about this because we've talked about this already tonight. But congratulations on her wedding this year to the American footballer. She did really well. And then subsequent divorce from the Batman. Of course, I'm mixing everybody up. We're seeing all the single ladies from Whiskey with Molly. It's quite a consensus here going on. It is, of course, Beyonce. Davis Hill ran moonshine in the American South during Prohibition. The recipe nods to his rye that he made. A large component of Davis is rye whiskey. And some people would say that that's what gives it its depth compared to other celebrity whiskies. Question 4. A 1962 Doyle Dane Burnback print campaign ran self-depreciating headlines like what idiot changed the label? So an ad campaign in newspapers ran self-depreciating headlines like what idiot changed X label? Doers, Chivas Regal, Cutty Sark, or Ballantines? Deep cuts here. Deep cuts for the guys. I didn't quite have the ass hat emoji to put in because this is quite a ball ache of a question, to be fair. And was it on Mad Men? I don't believe it was. There may be a question that comes up that's in that same time period era agency land, but it's not this one. We've got a nice spread of answers here. We've got B's, Kyle B, James C, B, Anthony Lambert's definitely B, Pete Head saying D, Mojo Low, I love these questions, generally best ever, and B, and we will, let's see what we have. It was B, Chivas Regal. DDB was the agency behind VW's Think Small. The same what applied to Scotch, which was the Mad Men link that was asked about. During that period, there was all the kind of ads. Mad Men's great. I need to get back watching that. Anthony Lambert, he's on 4 out of 4, confident. Right, I don't know why this one jumped. Maybe I forgot just because. But which Outlander star found the Sassenach, a blended Scotch named after his character's nickname for Claire, and fronts virtually all of its marketing himself? In the whiskey community, this whiskey is a bit of a running joke because it won so many awards, and Master of Malts used to do a whiskey tournament every year. This is what the joke is, not the awards, but the tournament every year, and it used to just get flooded by fans of this actor who were obsessed with him, and every year he would win the best whiskey against every single malt he was up against. And I think I can see, yeah, everybody knows. And apparently it's taken multiple double golds at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Question 6. From 1967, which Canadian whiskey ran the Hide a Case promotion, concealing cases everywhere from Kilimanjaro to the Arctic and challenging drinkers to find them? From 1967, which Canadian whiskey ran this campaign and had cases across everywhere and said, go and find them? Is it A, Crown Royal, B, Seagram's VO, C, Canadian Club, D, Wisers? How good are you at your Canadian whiskey? I remember being so honoured when I lived in Korea and one of my co-teachers, she was from Leeds, she was leaving, and she said, oh, a student's parents gave me this gift and I don't like whiskey, and she gave me this big opulent box. I opened it up and there was this big velvet bag. I opened it up, this big decadent bottle, and I thought, oh my god, this decanter, this is amazing. And it was Crown Royal. But at the time, Mad Men had just came out, and I would drink my Crown Royal and watch Mad Men on my laptop. My wee studio apartment in Korea. Right, I think that's enough time for everybody. The answer is C, Canadian Club. Some cases took decades to find, and a few are believed to still be out there. Just having a wee look. I think a few people put B, but quite a lot of people C. How are we finding the quiz so far? Past the halfway point. Anthony Lambert, he's got 6 out of 6 so far, right up my street. Loving it. Seen quite a lot of 6 out of 6s, a few 3 out of 6, but people really clued in the whiskey. I thought this was going to be quite difficult for people. Kyle Taylor, 6 out of 6. DVDW, 6 out of 6. Which brand replaced celebrity endorsement entirely in the 1990s with an animated version of its own emblem, a bird whose deadpan antics became one of the UK's best loved campaigns? A, Bells, B, The Famous Grouse, C, White Mackay, 50 grants. This is a bit of a gimme. Pete'd say, not my quiz, as I'm completely not into marketing, but fun. I appreciate that. I just thought I'd go a little different angle, considering tonight what we've been talking about is who is Whisky for and how do we communicate that to people. I think most people have got this. It was, of course, Famous Grouse. The animated grouse ran for over 2 decades. Proof a mascot can outlast any celebrity deal. And I can hear the music. It literally grew up with those ads constantly in Scotland. A classic American holiday print ad read, Ingle Elves, the punchline being that the holidays aren't the same without. What are the 2 missing letters? Jane B, Bad 69, Haig and Haig, Johnny Walker. I'm not saying this one was done in a way that if people were struggling by question 8 that they would get a point, but TVDW is saying really pertinent point, probably because the Netherlands don't do alcohol ads on TV, radio, papers and barely ever in mags. That's probably why Pete's not seen much or any of these, and that's absolutely fair. The answer, of course, for this one is J and B. The ad ran for years each December, one of the most stolen ideas in drinks advertising. Seen a lot of people. I thought we would get some people with these. Everybody's getting full. Lola's saying this. The background track sounds a little like a remake of A Board of Canada track. Don't get me started on that new album. I've not had my rant about that yet, Lowlander. I love it. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen me post quite a lot about Inferno by Boards of Canada. But we're going to keep moving. Which Hollywood legend fronted Nika's G&G blend in a series of 1970s Japanese TV commercials? Kirk Douglas, Dean Martin, Orson Welles, Frank Sinatra. Which Hollywood legend fronted Nika's G&G blend in a series of 1970s Japanese TV commercials? These ads, I've done a video on whiskey ads, and when you go digging, they're just wild what was going on over there in the 70s and 80s, what they were putting out. Seen a lot of consensus here. James saying, was it C with a stoogie? It's an A. Adrian C. The answer was, of course, Rosebud himself, Orson Welles. Long before Bill Murray's fictional Suntory shoot, Orson Welles was doing it himself for the revival of Suntory. And the last question. The quote, as long as you're up, get me a... This 1960s American slogan became so embedded in pop culture, it was parodied for decades. Was it get me a Valentine's? Get me a Cutty Sark? Get me a J&B? Or get me a Grant's? And I'm sure a lot of the people in the quiz are well versed with 1960s American slogan campaigns. While you guys answer, I am going to quickly pour myself final whiskey of the night. A lot of people knew this one. There was, of course, Grants. The line escaped the ads entirely, tying up in cartoons, sitcoms, and office in-jokes for years. I'll be honest, I'd never heard it. As long as you're up, get me a Grants. Never heard that before. But guys, tally it up. Lot of people doing really, really well. I'm going to give you a big cheers. Say well done. Absolutely well done. I thought that was quite difficult, to be fair. Like, I would have said maybe like 8 or 9 out of 10 I reckon I would have got before I'd put it together, but 10 out of 10. Pure luck. Where's Roy? Lastly, we've got some honest people amongst us. And Anthony saying, oh my god, 10 out of 10, it helps being there and having a daughter in media and advertising. I got 6 out of 10, saying everyone who's scoring a 10 out of 10 has to consider whether they're watching ads too much. I am finishing up tonight with the cast strength Springbank, because when you see it, you just kind of have to, don't you? You have to have it. But guys, thank you so much for staying for the quiz. I'm going to stay on we'll stay until maybe the next 12 minutes or so. We'll finish probably around about midnight. First ever 10 out of 10, nice one. Modulo 1 out of 10, my feeling of self-worth is at a new high. Look, you're unique. You're the only one that did it. So definitely feel accomplished for that. Just need to move chat back up here. Where's it went? There we go. Okay, I was saying big cheers all. Been a long week at work and came in needing a wee win. Oh, there you go. There you go. Friday tomorrow. Everybody's feeling up and at them. We've had lots going on at this end. It's been one of those summers, to be honest. Quite looking forward to September. But it's been great, guys. It's been so good being back in the hot seat, dusting off the cobwebs. By all accounts, I can see some people jumping off now after the quiz. Thank you, Roy, for allowing me to host his wonderful VPub. Thank you guys for coming along and joining in. Whisky with Molly's off to see Biffy tomorrow. Brilliant. Where are they playing tomorrow night? I actually went to uni with the two brothers from Biffy Clyro's other brother. That makes sense. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Thanks for sticking around. Lolander, great stream. Oh, I can barely see. Great stream, and it's great to see you back. Yeah, I'm a wee bit out of shape, wee bit out of practice. Couple of whiskies and a beer, ready for my bed. Thursday night, you know how it is. Same fun stream, David. Thank you for taking your spot behind the bar. Hope to catch you soon during the Saturday in the stream, and all of you here. See you next week with Whisky and Office. Exactly. Next week, the man's back in the hot seat. I was going to say like the beast from the, and then I was like, it's West. I mean, you work it out. Looking forward to the stream next week, mate. And saying good night. Whisky with Molly at Ingleton. Oh my god, I'm really tired. Yes, well, cheers for a great VPub. Guys, honestly, thank you so much for joining in, staying the course, indulging me with my advertising quiz. Yes, we're seeing Mojo Low staying. Still haven't opened my first ever Springbank 12 cash strength. Never been able to get hold of one before. I need to get it open but blindly. Look, it's whiskey. It's in a glass. The worst thing about it is that it's really good. And by opening it and drinking it means that you will pursue more and more and more, which is what you've got to do, which is why I have a wee stockpile of them as such. They're really good. Don't ever, like, you'll be fine. Adrian, thanks for joining, mate. Really appreciate it. Lassie as well. Thank you. Is it Lass or Lassie? Sorry. Probably shouldn't be asking that. Look it up. But yes, last bit of housekeeping admin for the end. As always, if you want to, by all accounts, join the Patreon, where I will be extremely active in the next couple of months. And we have the YouTube memberships now. We also have the t-shirts, drinkswhiskey.com, and then you have to click merch, and then you have to click another link because the world is not easy anymore, so you have to do multiple things. As I said, charity t-shirt is on there. It's a Whiskey for Me t-shirt with the majority, say like 90% of the profit going to amazing charities. And if you don't want to do that, by all means, just fling a few quid the charity's way. Derek, mate, you've been silent assassin. Not seen you at all in the chat. How are you, sir? Thank you so much for your support as always as well. For everyone else, as I said, next Saturday night Drams is back live. Look forward to hosting that. There will be more shenanigans. There will be probably less of a structure because the VPub, I like to make sure the VPub guys are looked after the way that they should be looked after. There'll be probably no quiz, but there will be a lot of laughs and there'll be a lot of chat. Probably call it a day there. I was meant to fix my outro. I used to have an outro, believe it or not. I don't think I have one this evening. I'm going to have a wee look and see. Do we have one? It's not looking good. It's not looking good. So it's probably just going to be a quite ceremonial ending. On that note, all the best, guys. Cheers.